Academics is not the only thing in life. You could be a super chef or maybe something, into culinary arts or something, but that's not important that you would be a good at academic person. Overseas also, networking is very, very important to get a job. It's not that, okay, you've just got a 9 CGPA, you get a job. It doesn't work like that. The student is wanting to do a course which is maybe a business course or something, then I would say, okay, please do it in India and then probably go for a master's degree overseas. But there are few who are just running after money and misguiding students.
Hi, Ritika.
Hi.
First of all, thanks a lot for coming down here. I'm sure the next 30-35 minutes, the conversation that we are going to have will be super helpful for the study abroad aspect.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Ritika, I actually want to start with knowing you first, and after that, we'll talk about in general study abroad market, visas, scholarship, and as the conversation goes ahead.
Right.
So I understand that you were in academia before. So how this switch happened? What were you doing? And it's a switch from academia to business to helping students. I know you were helping students there as well, but it's completely different world.
So it all started when I was 17. I was a businesswoman. And then I got married and I was a devoted mother. Seeing my devotion, some of the teachers suggested, why don't you get into teaching? So that was not an impromptu thought that came to me, but yeah, then I did my training and I got into teaching. Taught for good 10 years at Shivnadar School and then at Step by Step. It was a beautiful experience, and there also I had special children coming to me. So that counseling was happening non-stop. But then that came to a plateau, and that somewhere my businesswoman acumen came on top.
Okay.
And I wanted to do something of my own. So what?
Calling.
It was my calling, yeah, maybe. So then I just quit my job. And I thought, okay, what am I going to do there where I can create a balance between helping students and as well as running my own business? And then, so Gagan, who's the CEO of Planet Education, we are friends since this long. And then he just came down to India and we had a chit chat and he said, okay, why don't you just start something with us? Like, great. And what? Rest is history. So now very much a part of Planet Education, heading the Noida branch.
Right. So, Ritika, you are coming with a very interesting perspective because you were not part of this industry, right? You learned a lot of things as you were mentioning earlier. So what you have noticed in this industry in last 5 years, what is happening? Like, what is study abroad industry in general?
So it's an amalgamation of good and bad both. What I've noticed is there are a lot of good counselors who are actually doing some good work. Wouldn't want to name anyone in specific, but there are few who are just running after money and misguiding students, where that is the change that I am looking forward to bring about. Well, that's just going to be a fish in the pond, so I don't know how much I'm going to do it, but I'm definitely going to keep trying. That fear-mongering in the students of going beyond their capacity. They have so much, their plates are full of studying, academic pressure. There's so much already. And then just to, get in some bundles of money in their pocket, they would just tell them, do this, do this, do this, which is just not required. So that's the racket somewhere in my head I want to break and really want to guide students that just don't go blindly by what is being told or by the peers that say, oh, you've not done this. So I have students whom I'm counseling and they suddenly come up, ma'am, my friends are doing this, they're doing this, they're doing, I don't need anything. I said, no, you are targeting these universities, these countries, they don't need so much of it. So please do not waste your time. Focus in your academic, you're a grade 12 student. That's what you're supposed to do. Study, gain knowledge, not just run after the extracurricular activities, which are just probably bought certificates. They're not even something that you achieving something out of it. When we talk about these working in NGOs, so what exactly? I mean, my friend's father would know it and you get a certificate. But that's not something that you're learning. Why do we go to an NGO? Because we want to learn to be compassionate to these kind of people, to the aged, to the needy. That's what we're looking for. But then just buying the certificate, you're not achieving that.
So, in a way, what do we call that word in Hindi? Bhed chal.
Bhed chal.
Right. That students are, or the aspirants are actually looking at that, okay, what others are doing. And
it's a peer pressure. It's a peer pressure and the fear mongering that is being inculcated by some of the companies and counselors that, okay, we're going to charge you this amount of money and we are going to make this profile larger than life. That's not true. Be what you are. And that's what you should achieve.
So, what matters in the admissions in general? Let's say, let's segment it into 3 segments. One is, let's say, meritorious student, right? Graduated from a decent university in India, looking to study abroad, versus an average student, right, who was not lucky with the education earlier or did not paid enough attention to the education and have not gotten admit from a good university in India. So for them, how should they look at it, at the admission process itself? What matters in their admission is what actually.
See, and in admission, definitely the very high rank universities look at a high percentage for sure. Their requirement is higher.
So academic is one thing.
Academic
For
is one
high
thing.
universities,
Yes,
academics.
yes.
is
They,
the
but there are some good universities, decent universities, level 1 universities, which don't need a very high academic requirement. For example, if I talk about Australia, for a master's program, somebody who achieved a 6 CGPA or a 6.5 CGPA can get into a very good university, one of the top universities.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a little competitive if I talk about Singapore, or maybe UK looks for a 8 CGPA or something. So that depends from country to country, university to university. So it's not that the doomsday has arrived if you not scored well. You know, everybody, so whenever a student comes to me and they say, oh, I'm very shyly, they're going to say that, oh, my academics are not so great. Ma'am, can I? So my simple answer is, bache, a person cannot be an all-rounder. Academics is not the only thing in life. You could be a super chef or maybe something, into culinary arts or something, but that's not important that you would be a good at academic person. Like yesterday only, I was speaking to one of my students who's gone to University of Birmingham for culinary. All right. So he was an average student for academics, but he's been there now and he's the head chef at a restaurant in Birmingham. So ultimately, it's your journey, your destination that matters. Academics, yes, it's a part of it, but not the be all and end all of your life.
Right. So, but for the top universities, is academic must or not?
Yes.
It's must,
academic
right?
is
In general, if you're targeting top universities, you should have good
a
academics.
good academic,
right?
yes, for sure.
What
And apart from that, so if you talk about, USA top universities, then that so-called profile building is important, where you have to have some kind of a research-based program or some kind of social activity that you've done. But that also should be something that you've given back to your community, your area. It's not that you're staying here and, okay, I've done something in Mumbai. That doesn't make sense. Even the person who's evaluating your application is not stupid. That you're staying in Delhi, how would you be constantly visiting a place in Bombay? That's not feasible. That's not practical. So that is what I tell my students, that please, even if you're doing some community service, that has to be around your area. You've grown up in a particular place. You should give back to your society.
So the story should add up, right? That whatever you are saying, that I did this community work, I did this project, that should.
It should not just be a brought up certificate.
I completely agree. It should not be out of the blue. It should be part of a long-term story that you're building. That, okay, let's say I graduated from good engineering colleges in India, and I actually was interested in technology in general. And then I did a technology-related course. I took electives. Then I did internship in technology, and now I'm applying for masters in technology. So that is a story that is.
So sometimes I have these children who will come up and they will, grade 6th or 7th, there's nothing. Suddenly in grade 11th, they have a state level hockey certificate. Obviously, it's all made up. Now, hockey, it's a sport. You can't overnight be a state level champion. You need to be playing that sport from probably grade 6th or 7th. So that gradual progression has to show if you're into a state level or a national level swimming competition, winner. That again, that has to show. It shouldn't just be a sudden thing coming up. This is one thing that, these companies, they just buy certificates, which is not making the journey. And then a very casual attitude that, oh, we tried, you didn't get through. And then they would probably get into a normal, decent university, which is something very sad. It's playing with, raising the bar for the student in their head to another level and then getting them somewhere, which is was very comfortable with just the academic achievement that they would have or whatever extracurricular activities they would be doing in their school. For a grade 12 student, it is, the academic pressure is so high that they should actually be focusing on their academics. Yes, extracurricular activities, whatever MUNs are happening, whatever the inter-school competitions are happening. And yes, if somebody is passionate about something, like there's another student who's like on a national level golf player. So that's fine. That's a passion, that's your calling. So probably you want to pursue something on that.
So is it so that if you're going for undergrad, academics matters more compared to if you're going for postgrad, where wholesome profile needs to be better?
To a certain extent, yes, because for a PG, obviously the CGPA does matter. But suppose, like you just mentioned, engineering. So if there are some extra courses that you've done or you have a work experience, obviously your profile becomes a little more competitive. Like, for example, if a student holding a 7 CGPA with no work experience or no extracurricular activities, but I say about related to your field, engineering, and vis-a-vis the same person with just 7. So if I have to give the offer to either of them, it's going to be the one who's got some more job experience with the same CGPA.
Got it. Makes sense. So you mentioned a class 12 student a couple of times. So how about undergrad? Like, I have talked to many people in the industry, that's part of my job. And I keep coming across different views. Many people believe that, you should do your undergrad from India and go for masters abroad.
Right.
And they say that undergrad abroad is costlier. And even after doing undergrad from abroad, you have to anyway do masters.
Yeah.
So instead of spending 1 crore for undergrad abroad and then masters abroad, which again will cost money, why don't you do undergrad from India, spend less, and then once you're done with your undergrad, go for postgrad? So what's your view on that?
So that's it's actually, you cannot typecast it that undergrad is better in India or better overseas. That really depends on 2-3 things. Namely, what is the course? Now, suppose if the student is wanting to do a course which is maybe a business course or something, then I would say, okay, please do it in India and then probably go for a master's degree overseas. Vis-a-vis if somebody is wanting to do engineering, we all know how competitive these JEE exams are, and students are either going to dummy schools where their entire personality goes for a fix, totally. So in that situation, if the affordability is not a concern and one can afford it, so in that situation, I would definitely say that going for engineering programs, science-related programs, or anything to do with psychology, it's better. Any medical-related.
So you're saying if affordability is not an issue, then you should do undergrad from abroad.
Depending on the course. Depending on the course.
Especially for sciences and technology is what?
It's better because the kind of lab and the kind of research opportunities that you get overseas is more overseas. It's like more, the labs are better.
Right. Got it. And let's talk about the other spectrum. So we've talked about meritorious student, who have graduated from good universities. What about the other kind of students who are maybe not as good as one would want them to be in education, average CGPA 6, 6.5, average college, nothing much in the profile. But now they have taken a decision that, okay, hey, now I want to do something in my life. I want to make a career. I want to get serious. So for them, what is the path?
So for them, firstly, it's very important as a counselor to understand that if they have a 6 CGPA, is it that they do not have an intent to study, or their situation, circumstances have been there that they've not got enough hand-holding and the kind of exposure to achieve that kind of an academic score. So that understanding is important. Many a times the students, because in our times, I mean, yes, I wouldn't sound old, but yes, in our times, things were very streamlined, limited fields. Now, even one field now has 50 options.
Right.
The students themselves are so confused. I have students coming who are doing law and now they want to leave their law field and they want to get into a management field where they're excelling. So probably that understanding and that exposure, unfortunately, at school levels, they are not exposed and they don't know what are the career opportunities they hold. That kind of interaction is not there, or probably their parents are just telling them, okay, go for this, go for that. And because they're so naive, they just go for it. And follow the bandwagon. But then that's not really their calling, and that's where they want to make the switch. So overseas, you have this flexibility where you can do that course switching. When in India,
It's difficult.
it's very difficult.
Acceptability is more, I think, abroad. Right? Let's say if today I go, let's say just an example, I've taken engineering in my past and tomorrow I want to do something arts related. So the acceptability
Absolutely.
would be a little less compared to abroad where acceptability is more. That
Yeah,
okay,
you have more options. So if that switch over, which is easier over there. So that helps the students. And then, yes, many excel. There are many who are switching their careers or even not even switching their careers there because the kind of, we unfortunately are still following the rote learning method, very by the book. There's hardly any practical experience for whatever we are learning here. There it's an amalgamation of practical and physical knowledge, the theoretical knowledge that is there. So, the interest level, the projects. So you are gauged on the basis of your projects also, your knowledge base, just not your theoretical knowledge. So that excites them.
Is it right time to go abroad? Because we have been hearing things like Canada, India, tension is there. They are putting cap on PRs, number of students, visas. Same for Australia, UK. There are jobs concern, economic concerns. In US, now I'm hoping that political turmoil will be
Mr.
less.
Trump coming in.
So, is it the right time, or should people
There's
wait?
never a right or a wrong time. You need to be focused. Simple. So I love to answer this question that jobs nahi hai. Great, jobs nahi hai, but you have to create opportunities for yourself. Are there jobs just lying here in India? No, you have to struggle. You have to. So as long as you're passionate about what you're doing and you are going by your gut feeling that, okay, this is what I want to do. So if you talk about UK, we've heard there's a lot of recession. There are no jobs, nothing. Now, if a student is gone there to study, is getting this sudden freedom and not studying, doing everything but studying, not getting a good CGPA, not networking. Overseas also, networking is very, very important to get a job. It's not that, okay, you've just got a 9 CGPA, you get a job. It doesn't work like that. So you have to make connections. You have to have networking with your seniors, with your peers and everyone. And that's references get you jobs. So jobs are there. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's anything got to do with me, but I mean, I don't see any of my students I've sent to UK that they do not have. They've got a sponsorship as well, and they're doing fantastically well. One of my students, she's working in an ancillary in Derby after doing an aeronautical engineering. So jobs are there. You just have to fit in there.
So you're saying that if you are going to right country with the right focus and with proper research, there is no right or wrong time. Obviously, there can be easier or hard times, but not right or wrong time.
So
Right.
Canada, the visas of SDS and non-SDS has stopped. All right. So you have to show your funds. Now, the only difference is as those who have the financial capacity. Now, who would not do well in Canada, for example? So those who sold off everything and they think, okay, they're going to get loads of money back. Now, their pressure is not on study. It is to earn that extra buck. So then the focus again lost. It's about PR. It's not about your journey. So then you're not focused. So,
But a lot of students are going with that intent only, right? That
because the dreams that are shown to them is that this is where you are going to, suddenly you're going to get a bungalow for yourself, you're going to get a car for yourself, not realizing what is the hardships that one has to face. That is what I'm saying when I talked about initially that the misguidance, the counselor's role here is very, very important. Unfortunately, in Punjab, Haryana, it's just that, okay, Karede, chalo karede, that's how it is. But then you need to show them the pros and cons, the exact amount. They just say, okay, you just have to pay this and rest is history. You'll earn everything there. It doesn't work like that. You have to have your funds enough so that you can sustain there. You're going for studying. You need to hone that knowledge, get that knowledge, and then you can get into good jobs. So that has to be clear in your head. Very important. Be it UK, be it US, you have to have that financial capacity to finish your studies at least. Part-time jobs are there to, fix it. Definitely. It is going to be a good cushioning. But that's not, that you should not depend on. Suppose, God forbid, if you're unwell, you're not able to earn, then your mind is running, okay, how am I going to pay this? How am I going to sustain? So have enough funds, make those arrangements, and then yes, you have your whole life to earn it back.
So then what should a student do, right? They are being shown these dreams that, okay, hey, go Canada, go Australia, your life will be changed. And obviously, students are naive, right? And students and at that age are supposed to, look at dreams or dream in general, right? So what should they do? Or what should we as a society should do?
The word dream is very, very dear to me because the tagline that I follow is turning dreams into reality, right? So the first thing that I would always tell to the student is that please do your homework right. When I say homework right is that we have the Google Baba, where we have everything on Google. Please do your research right with your counselor. Now, when the counselor is having those success stories, try and connect them with on the LinkedIn with those students to understand how genuinely those students have been sent by those counselors or what has their journey been, all right? And then a feedback turning around as to understand because see, at the moment, yes, as you said, they are very innocent. They don't know whatever stories. We have a lot of burden on our shoulders as counselors. So it is for us to be genuine and not misguide. We need to understand that we also have children. Tomorrow, if something like this is happening to them, how would you feel? So keeping your ethics in place and then guiding the student. Well, that was my view as a counselor, but as a student, do your homework right is all I say. Connect with the students who've gone, that how actually the journey has been. And in the market, it's very easy nowadays with social media. It's very, very easy to connect with them.
So all you are saying is that don't blindly follow anybody. Take advice, think about it.
Window shop.
Research.
Window shop and understand.
Yes, right. Talk to people who have been there.
Been there through those consultancies, through those counselors. How genuine have they been?
But how to get in touch with these people? Let's say, for example, somebody comes to you in Noida Planet Education and they are taking counseling from you, for example. So now you won't share details of your student.
Well,
right?
I do.
Okay, you do.
You do. So if any, so like yesterday only one of my students who wanted to go to hospitality. So my student, he's there in Bournemouth. So I've given the number, connected. I give them 2-3 numbers so that one could be scripted. Okay, but not all would be. And then they connect and I say, okay, before you proceed, please ask them how their life. Leaving science, what my experience or their experience with me has been, I even want them to do their homework right as to what their journey in that particular course or university is going to be, right? So, well, as you said, rightly said, many would not share. It's not so difficult. For example, Aman is studying in Sheffield University, for example. It is very easy to find them on LinkedIn. Everybody has a LinkedIn account from grade 12 nowadays. So Aman, Sheffield University, you'll be able to track. And then in their success stories also, the same guy, the picture is reflecting, it's not too difficult to find out.
Right. Yeah, these are the tricks, right? Go on their success page, the student name they've written, university name they've written, try find them on
Yes,
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is very easy. LinkedIn is now the Janampatri of everything. So it's very easy. And connect with the students, you get to know. And obviously, if they are reputed consultancies, they are also particular about their name, their image. So they would not be doing something like that. So do your homework right, bottom line.
Right. And what about visas, right? So I've been hearing in general that visas are becoming difficult for almost all the countries out there. A lot of students and our partner consultants as well reach out to us to understand if this loan letter will work, that loan letter will work, and obviously we help them out wherever possible. But what are your thoughts on visas in general? What are the key things a student should take care while applying for visas in general too?
So basically, there are 3 main things that should be taken care of. One is the academic documents, very, very important. Please make sure that you have the proper scanned documents. Children nowadays, they are always like, just taking a snapshot from the phone and having the edges cut and all those things. Those documents are somewhere not valid. For something so simple, a visa can be rejected. So kindly just probably have a cam scanner or something, or go to a professional, get it scanned. Your financials, as you rightly said, which kind of loans are workable in, because say DHA does not accept a certain kind of a loan, or UK would not probably accept something. So please do that homework. Everything is available on the DHA and the VFS side. You can easily get to know. Well, that's also an important thing that the counselor would be guiding you, right? So the loan process, the financials have to be in place. Sometimes the students, they try to act smart, forging the documents of the financials, the ITRs. Let me tell you, even the person who's sitting there behind the desk who's evaluating your application knows it all.
Yeah.
So let's not think that we are smarter. They are smarter than you, right?
The
So
job is
academics-
to catch you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as long as your academics, your financials, and your medical history is clear, it is. So I don't see a reason for rejections. Yes, in 2024 there have been some baseless rejections, which is unfortunate because over applications you cannot comment on that. But yes, from your end and from the counselors end, the documents should be clearly scanned and foolproof. That is what is going to get you through.
So I think we'll try to end it here. Before I end, one question that I would like to ask is, which country are you really excited about right now? That this is the country where a student, if goes today, the chances of success is high. What would that country and why?
So, as I always say, I've never been an agent for any country or a particular university. So, this question is going to be a little cryptic for me to answer because, see, it really depends what is the motive of the student.
That's why I asked, you are excited about. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Right.
Excited, yes. Since Planet Education is pioneering in Australia, yes, Australia is always going to be my baby. And UK and US is definitely. Canada has been on the little back burner because of all the hurdles that are coming in. But yes, definitely, nevertheless, we love to do some good
I'll
applications.
take in that order: Australia, UK, and US. Sorry. Okay.
And Ireland.
And Ireland.
And Ireland,
Oh.
yes, for sure.
Okay, makes sense. Thanks, Ritika. It was wonderful. I learned a lot. I'm sure all of you viewers have learned a lot as well.
I hope so. And yeah, I would love to connect with any of them. Whoever have the queries, they can connect
So if
with
they have
me.
to reach you, how can they reach you?
My number.
Okay.
Yes, it's 96500 22115.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Pleasure is all mine.